the white-only city in South Africa. The only residents of this South African boomtown are white people. Orania, a town in South Africa, draws attention for having only white residents. The town, however, insists that it is not racist and is prospering. At the end of this video, you'll find out if this town is truly racist or not. But before we do that, please subscribe to our channel and turn the notification bell so you won't miss out when we upload a new video. Afrikaners in South Africa. Afrikaners are descendants of Dutch, German and French settlers who arrived in the 17th century. The Dutch, who arrived in 1652, took over the land from local people and put them to work as farm workers. Afrikaners dominated South Africa for many decades and introduced the apartheid system, which was based on racial segregation. Orania was established in 1991 by Afrikaner intellectual Karel Boshoff Sr. The town is built on 8,000 hectares of farmland along the Orange River. The town boasts amenities such as shops, hair salons, a library, a post office, a hotel, a couple of schools, and a lot of churches. But beneath the surface of this solitude prowls a fear that leads people to abandon high-paying jobs in the city for lowly jobs in this arid land. The levels of crime and violent crimes in South Africa are definitely pushing powers that bring people to Orania. Many of them have been victims of crimes, says Mr. Boshoff. South Africa is considered to be one of the most violent societies in the world, with one of the highest murder rates. Official statistics suggest that most crimes actually happen in poor communities between people known to each other, but this has not stopped the fear of crime in other communities. Orania, South Africa. Orania appears to be any other small town in rural South Africa from a distance, but once inside, the difference is immediately noticeable to a visitor. Here, everyone is white, and in a nation where tedious labor is typically performed by blacks in wealthy areas, whites here use leaf blowers, mop supermarket floors, and harvest pecan tree. In a nation where racial segregation has been outlawed, Orania is a town that is exclusively white. This loophole's origins can be traced back to 1991 when apartheid was nearing its end. White Afrikaners who are descended from Dutch colonizers arrived in South Africa in the 17th century, purchased and established a privately owned town that has so far only admitted whites using an autonomous status provided by the post-apartheid constitution. The population of Orania has increased by almost a factor of 10 in the present, and the country's economy is booming. Old Cape Dutch-style homes coexist with contemporary townhouses, divided only by well-kept gardens and low or no walls. On the well-kept streets, adults jog freely and children ride bicycles. Never racist. Residents claim they are not sentimental for the apartheid era, but rather a community pursuing freedom with responsibility because they are sensitive to accusations of racism. According to them, this denotes a community free of crime, power outages, fruitless local government, and other issues plaguing South Africa at the moment. People often assume that because there are no black employees at Orania, wow, these guys must be racist. But that is not the case, according to a 52-year-old pioneer resident, Wienand Boshoff. In wealthy suburbs throughout South Africa, black people perform manual labor in a predominantly black population. But according to Orania, it has abandoned labor practices from the colonial and apartheid eras. According to spokesman Juice Streedom, we do our own work, from gardening to cleaning our houses to construction and everything else. He claimed that the only community that rejects the system of cheap black labor is Orania. Autonomy. Orania operates independently from the national government and is granted the right to self-determination under the Constitution of South Africa. Its own currency, the Ora, is paired 1:1 with the Rand. In a nation that is heavily dependent on coal and is experiencing an energy crisis, the town is also attempting to achieve energy independence through solar. Prospective residents are screened and required to be clean. It's like going into marriage, said Streedom, a 28-year-old born in the southeastern province of KwaZulu-Natal. Orania is not racist or a desperate clench back to apartheid, Boshoff insisted, adding that prospective residents must share the values and subscribe to the town's objectives. There is nothing stopping any non-white Afrikaners from applying, according to Boshoff, but no one ever did. He said, "We haven't found anybody." The boom in population. According to Streatham, the population of Orania has recently increased by up to 17% annually, and in 2021, there were more new businesses established. Other communities are asking, "How can we learn from you?" all of a sudden, he said. Some traditional royal emissaries from the Xhosa and Tswana ethnic groups were in town on a diplomatic visit when AFP journalists were recently in Orania. "It was crucial that I go. Whether right or wrong, there is a success story in there somewhere," asserted Gabulewe Moroka, the 40-year-old leader of the Baralong Bu Seleka, a Tswana-speaking tribe in the nearby Free State province. She said, "It's unfortunate that these issues have become overly discussed." Boshoff, the grandson of Hendrik Verwoerd, the man who created apartheid, claimed that Afrikaners established Orania because they were in need of a place to call home. Boshoff, a right-wing lawmaker in the National Parliament, stated that every African tribe or clan has a place of its own, which they use as a reference point. After delivering a sermon at the Dutch Reformed Church on a Sunday morning, he declared that Orania had become part of the South African landscape. Afrikaner world. According to Sandile Swana, a specialist in municipal governance, private towns like Orania are not unusual. "You'll see more of these," Swana predicted. As a prerequisite, Orania's only distinction is that they've chosen their own ethnic background and culture. Nelson Mandela, South Africa's first black president, worked tirelessly to bring the bitterly divided nation together. In 1995, he paid a visit to Orania and had tea with Verwoerd's widow. A White House where Betsy Verwoerd spent her final years is decorated with memorabilia, including the white tea set they used to drink from. Rancy Pisa, a 58-year-old ex-government employee who moved to Orania from Pretoria a year ago, stated outside the church that she appreciated having more social interactions with neighbors on the streets. "It's a place where I can find myself and express my culture," she said. After apartheid was overthrown, people who no longer wanted anything to do with Afrikaner history donated a number of statues, which are accessible by taking a short drive up a hill. Where specifically is Orania town, and how is the environment? In the South African province of the North Cape, Orania is situated 164 kilometers from Kimberley and 240 kilometers from Bloemfontein. Large Karoo areas surround Orania on the Orange River's bank. The Karoo's open vegetation dominates the flora, whereas white trees that are close to riverbanks have more dense vegetation. There are several local floral species in the area during the colder months. There were many smaller game species, and local biologists have found a wide variety of birds, including waterfowl. The Orange River, which flows through the area, has a sizable river basin and offers a great setting for outdoor activities. Astronomy enthusiasts can take advantage of unobstructed and clear night sky at night. There are stunning sunsets in Orania. Orania, initially constructed by building workers in 1970 upon the Orange River project, remained dormant for years till the town was bought as a pilot program by a handful of Afrikaners and the founding of an Afrikaner Volksstad with some adjacent territory. Orania is consequently a city and society that rejects the concept of the multicultural, varied South African government. As a result, the expulsion of all South Africans who are not defined as Afrikaners has been highly controversial. Orania was formerly a part of the Thembelile municipality, which had its registered office in nearby Hope Town, but it was not governed by that municipality. It appears that Orania is the only city in South Africa that still has a transitional council, which oversees the provision of services in the city. Even on the day that local elections are held, Oranians cast their ballots for their own interim representative council, rather than the local government of the municipality of Thembelile. Top touristic sites in Orania and the most visited locations. Visiting Orania's Cultural History Museum. The museum includes the outdoor exhibition of farming machinery, the Felix Latigan collection of guns, and a flag of Vikler, brought by a Scout Joppy Fury cyclist during the Second Anglo-Boer War, which was performed by a shooting squad at the time of the 1914-15 rebellion, against both then Prime Minister of the Union and General Louis Botha. The Monument Hill view of the city is home to a group of African executives from institutions who did not want them anymore following the 1994 change. This exhibit is the statue of both the Klein Reus and Small Giant. Displayed is the Orania town's native currency and another commodity, which shows a child rolling up his slats and used as a symbol of the town flag. Rolfontein Nature Reserve. The Rolfontein Nature Reserve, which spans 8,000 hectares of hilly terrain, Karoo Flats, tiny Dolerite Hills, and densely forested mountain hills, has been in operation since 1970. You can have a picnic at the reserve or spend the night at the basic camp. Although the 4-kilometer Pierre Barbet Trail is well known, you can walk through the entire reserve as long as you use caution and have 2 overnight sheds for walkers. Despite having some beautiful views, this reserve is a great place to see a lot of wildlife. You'll find the springbok, white rhino, gemsbok, black wildebeest, Botchell's zebra, various antelope, and brown hyena if you remain calm. At Rolfontein, you can also expect to see baboons, bat-eared foxes, aardvarks, and aardwolves, though they may be a little harder to spot. Hiking in Rolfontein Reserve. The Rolfontein Nature Reserve has been around for almost 40 years. The over 8,000-acre reserve that envelopes Van der Kloof is where you enter through the main entrance. There are lovely walking routes, but you have to reserve a tour in advance. The nature reserve is surrounded by the Van der Kloof Dam on 3 sides. Amazing vistas can be seen from observation points. There are lovely picnic areas where you can unwind and walk around. The journey takes you through the majority of activities and lets you roam freely. Much like the white rhino family and the majority of Antilla species, the reported number of bird species exceeds hundreds, indicating a sizable bird population. Experience kayaking at the Van der Kloof Dam. Traveling, exploring, and experiencing new places change not only who we are, but also how we see the world. And there are a few better places for the curious travelers to explore than the attractive Van der Kloof town on the southern border of the Van der Kloof Dam in the Northern Cape. South Africa's largest province is an excellent destination for travelers who love taking the road less to enjoy some of the country's hidden gems, ranging from the best spots for water sports to national parks, historical sites, and romantic stops for candle-lit dinners under the stars. Placed away along the R369 regional route, about 93 kilometers from Hope Town, Van der Kloof is home to the country's second largest dam in volume, with a 108 dam wall, the highest in South Africa. The dam plays an incredible role in attracting visitors from all walks of life who flock here to enjoy numerous activities, from angling and sailing to skiing and windsurfing. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel, turn on the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. What are your thoughts on Orania? Let us know in the comment section below.